Well, welcome to the NeedleBugg, everybody. I hope everyone is doing fine and wonderful after their holiday weekend. My name is Karen, and I want to take this opportunity to welcome all the new subscribers. There's been like 110 of you in the last month. That is phenomenal, and thank you so very much for hitting that subscribe button and giving this channel a chance. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And to all my returning subscribers, what can I say? Thank you for all your love and encouragement and helping to keep this channel going. So today I thought we would do a bit of a stitch with me. One that I haven't done for quite a while, and someone asked for it, I think it was last Saturday on the Zoom call, that they really enjoyed when we did the how many stitches can you stitch in an hour. So I thought, oh, great, that would be a good thing to do again, because it has been a while. So, I have to put a timer up here. I have to get one. That only takes a second. So I put one on, but it was on the wrong screen. So let's get a clock widget here. And we're going to say okay, and we're going to add this one. And that will be fine and wonderful. And got to make a little adjustments to it. We're going to have it go for an hour. And we're going to, here, text color, select a color, and we're going to make it black so we can see it. And hopefully that came on the screen. There we go, 1 hour. So this is a lot later than I thought I was going to start this video today, mainly because of, yes, you guessed it, some technical difficulties, but we're getting there and might have to cut it a little bit short, but we'll see how it goes. So let's start the timer. Okay, I thought start the timer, and we will start our stitching from here. Now, as you see today, and I'm going to try very hard to stay in the frame, but what I am doing today is I'm not sticking and stabbing. I'm kind of, sort of, no, I'm trying to get a little bit better at sewing. So that is my plan. And I do have my scientific goggles on today. But you know, when you're working around a camera, and I'm going to do this. Okay. When you're trying to stay in the field of the camera, you know what? I'm going to zoom you out a little bit, just because it makes it a little bit easier. Oh, that's too far. It makes it a little bit easier for me to stay where I need to be, and you guys will get the general gist of things. So, okay, we are already a minute and a half in. How many of you have more stitches than me already? Come on, fess up. Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. So I tend to, and I am stitching one leg at a time on this, just because I found I could manipulate things a little bit better. And I know I'm missing 2 stitches above this, and I will catch them on the way back, because I didn't realize I had not done that row yet. Oh, that was totally wrong. See, that's what happens when you when you're trying to keep your head out of hitting the camera. Keep your head from hitting the camera. Stay in the frame. It's a bit of a challenge, folks. Oh, good Lord. And it certainly helps it when you take your thread and fix it before you okay, what though? Harry, there we go. Okay. This is not starting out well, is it? Okay. I'm much used to a stick and stab kind of thing, but you know me. When I want to be persistent or when I want to try something new, I tend to be and catch my finger on the thread. I want to be a little persistent about it. And what you see here, ladies and gentlemen, is real life. It is what it is. You get the good, you get the bad, and you get the ugly. But we're going to give it our best shot here. To hold on. This part's a little backwards from what I've been doing, so let me just stick and stab these. I think my light's a little bit too bright. Now, when did you ever hear anybody say that? It's a little bit too bright that it shines on the floss too much. So let me... There. You know what? I like this light, but sometimes it can be annoying. Now, how many of you, just out of curiosity, how many of you stitch your Heaven and Earth Designs in hand and do this sewing thing. I'm just curious. I would really be interested to know. Now, the only reason I decided to sew as opposed to stick and stab on what is left of Fred is because it's all a lot of solid color. Like, I don't have, what I have left is a lot of block color, and I have very little confetti. I mean, there is some, but it's really not much at all. So with that, I decided, well, you know what? This little project has hung around long enough, and we are so close to a finish. I think I put the statistics on the opening page. We're at 78.5%. And I only have 16,548, but it's not 48 anymore, but let's just say 16,500-ish stitches left. So I went back to using markup, and I'll talk a little bit about that too in a bit. But I went back to using that because I kind of do like it. Well, we'll talk about it now. I kind of do like it a little bit better. And markup tells me that I should have this finished by mid-May if I keep stitching at the rate I have been going. And what I have been doing is trying to do a minimum of 200 stitches every day. So, since Fred is so close, I kind of decided that Fred will be my dedicated stitch until he is finished. So I'm not going to work on Adam's stocking, which what did we call him? Frosty. I'm not going to work on his until Fred is done. And I really don't have a whole lot more. Like I said, only 16,000 stitches. And if at 200 stitches a day. No, I'm not good at doing math in my head. So I'm not going to do that. But markup tells me I should be done by May 10th. So we will see how accurate that is, and if I can stick to that plan. I've been pretty good here late about getting those 200 stitches a day or more in, so that's a good thing. And really, you know what, when you can sew and not stick and stab, it really does go faster. I mean, because really, instead of doing 4 motions a stitch, I'm only doing 2. And really, it's kind of like the same premise as doing a tent stitch instead of full cross. You're kind of only doing, you're really only doing half the work for the basically the same end result of a full X. So I said, we'll take it. Because the place I'm working here is down on Fred's belly. So that's why I am lost in the land of blue. And that's kind of why I decided to finish Fred before I do any more on Frosty. Okay, that goes over there. This goes here. But let's go here first. Because Frosty is all mostly, for the most part, nothing but shades of blue. And if I just work on both of those and nothing else, I'm going to get, well, I'm going to have the blues. Is what's going to happen. And for those of you that are younger and never heard that term, having the blues is what we used to call being depressed. Now, fortunately, we're going into a time of year where that isn't necessarily something that people fall into. Usually wintertime is the time of year where people get depressed because it's dark and gloomy and, you know, all those things. So, but if you're stitching nothing but blue, and then you have to stitch some more blue, and then you stitch some more blue, you kind of get sick of stitching blue. It's kind of like the pieces that you're stitching, what, 70, 80, 90, 100,000 or more stitches of black. When you have a whole lot of one color, it's, and even though this is shades of blue, I mean, seriously, it's still blue. Now, I like blue, don't get me wrong. I do like the color blue. I just don't want to have to stitch it all the time. I would prefer a little variety in my stitching. So, look at that. This down here is another color. So, let's mark this off. And we'll see how many. How many was that? Well, that was about 50 stitches. That surprised me. And now I'm going to jump over here. Oops, over here. So that means we have to end this off. Now, this is one thing I will say about these ballpoint needles. When it comes to ending your threads, and that's why I started going under the floats. You've seen me do that before. It is a little bit, or more than a little bit, difficult to get this ballpoint underneath your existing stitches. But if you are using Ada cloth and you can work your ends underneath those floats, it really is a whole lot easier. Oh, I only have 530 stitches of this color left. Pardon me. So that is rather enjoyable. Oh, I hate. The other thing is sometimes these ballpoint needles can be a little persnickety to thread. However, some of it's me because I tend to not pinch it as tight as I could or should, and then I can't get it through the hole. And I like this way better. There we go. Okay. Now we also have to move the hoop a smidgen. Now that's the other thing. A lot of people that stitch in hand don't use a hoop. I personally find that my stitches look better if I put it in a hoop, even though I'm doing a sewing thing. And I am doing the sewing thing, but my stitches look better when they're in the hoop. And what I do is, you see, I don't put it tight in the hoop. It's very loose. Very, very loose. So that you can manipulate your fabric and do those stitches. Because, I mean, the sewing method does take some fabric manipulation to go in the right places. And yeah, that's a little bit of a cheater's knot there. Okay. There we go. So, up close you can see some of my stitches that I'm not happy with. I have to take my snag nabbit and snag some of them a little tighter, and then that would be a bit better. Now, am I still in the... Yeah. So, how was your Easter? First of all, it's raining awful today. We have had just tons and tons of rain. Thank heaven it was nice on Easter. Or as reasonably nicer than it's been. But we've had just rain upon rain upon rain to the point where the pumps are again running in the cellar. Glenn has the gas pump at the ready outside in case we need that. The yard has its stream running through it that does not belong there. That always happens when we have rain like this. I mean, and of course, I had to go for a haircut this morning when the worst of the rain was. Yesterday, I went for lab work when the worst of the rain was. It seems every time I need or want to go someplace, and I really don't go that many places, but it rains almost every time. It's getting a little old. Just a smidge. But as far as Easter went, we had, oh my goodness, it was a very nice day. My daughter, her husband, and the grandkids got here around, I don't know, 11 o'clock-ish. And Nana hid about 30, well, no, it was 30 plastic eggs out in the yard. And they all had quarters in them. Some had 2 quarters. Some had 4 quarters. And then in addition to the quarters, they all had a little bag of sweet treats in them, which is what I do and have done every year since they were old enough to partake of an egg hunt. And their comment to what I did is I asked them what kind of candy they want, because they can be a little fussy about that. Like, Emmy doesn't like, I can't believe she doesn't like chocolate, but she doesn't like chocolate. I don't know what's wrong with that girl. And Abe loves chocolate, but doesn't like some of the other stuff. So I said, okay, guys, you tell Nana what kind of candy you want this year. And they know that they're going to have the egg hunt, and there's going to be candy in those eggs. So it's like, okay, just tell me what kind of candy you want in there, and that's what Nana will get you. So we did that, and then their comment to me was, Nana, you have to hide them harder. It was too easy to find them last year. So we made them harder to find, which really was a lot of fun. And they got down to the fact that they found all but one. And they had the darndest, well, actually, even we had the darndest time. It gets to the point where I draw a layout of our yard and I make a map of where the eggs are. And I had asked them, well, did you find when we couldn't find all but one, I said, well, did you find this one? And did you find this one? And yeah. And, they told me, yeah, they were at all those places and they found all the eggs there. And there was one tree where Glenn put the egg. It's pine trees, and they're very, very old, and they're very, very tall, and they have a big root system. And Glenn hid one of the eggs, like a side of one of the roots of this tree, and then just covered it with a pine cone. So you could see that there was an egg there, but there was a pine cone in front of it. Well, it took these children forever to find that. And in fact, once we realized where it was, we had to give them hints in order to find that. We played that game of, well, oh no, now you're getting cold, you're getting really, really cold. Or, okay, now you're hotter. Okay, and hotter. Oh, now you're getting cold again. And until we finally talked them in, or walked them in that way to where the egg was. So, but they got all of those, which really was quite fun. And then they came in the house and they were opening all their plastic eggs and taking out their quarters and their candy, and then they do a swap, because the deal is you can find as many eggs as you can find, but the deal is whatever money, and I usually put $20 worth of quarters out. I said, you have to split the quarters between you. So there's $10 for each of you. So they were busy dividing the quarters equally, and then they each had their bags of candy. And of course, Emmy got some chocolates that, well, she doesn't like the chocolates, and Abe got some that he didn't like. So it was, okay, I'll swap you this. I'll swap you Jolly Ranchers for M&Ms and what have you. And they sat in the living room and they did that. And I said, when they were done with that, and I said, well, now, guys, we got one more thing. One more thing before we eat. And I said, you have to, in these 2 rooms, there are some pictures of rabbits, Easter bunnies, hidden. I said, what you need to do is find them. And then I had a master sheet that you have to match the bunny that you find with the bunny on the paper. And when you match them, then I had another little basket full of little bags of candy there also. So when you match them, you get to pick 2 more little bags of candy. So, okay, they did that. And Abe looked at me. God, it was so darn cute. He looked at me and he went, Nana, you really upped your game this year. I said, oh, do you think so? Yeah, you really upped your game this year. I said, well, do you like this? He said, yeah. I said, do you want to do it again next year? Yeah. So then when they found all the rabbits, there were 2 more that they hadn't found yet. So I said, okay, you still got 2 more to find, but 2 more, but Nana, the bags of candy are gone. I said, yeah, I know. I said, but you know what? There may be something special. So they went and they finally found those. And I said, well, now go over there to the desk and open the drawer, and there's something in there for you. And then they each got a gift certificate. It's like, you really did up your game this year, Nana. I said, well, if you think so, as long as you liked it and had fun. Yeah. I said, well, should I save these bunnies for next year? Mm-hmm. I said, okay, we'll do that. But then the cutest thing ever was Abe. Emmy sorta, but Abe especially has an allergy to cats. And of course, as you know, I have 2 cats. So when I know they're coming, I I vacuum like everything really, really well and get all the cat hair out so that he gets itchy eyes, itchy, watery, burny eyes from the dander. So I had vacuumed really well, and I said, Abe, are you doing okay? How's your eyes so far? He says, they're okay, Nana. Don't worry. And the hand goes up. Don't worry, Nana. It's okay. You can vacuum all you want, but it's still in the air. It's okay. We took Zyrtec before we left home. I said, oh, and Emmy said, no, Benadryl. Abe says, no, we took Zyrtec before we left home. So it's okay, Nana. It's all right. It's still in the air no matter how much you vacuum. I'm sure he's probably right. But it was so cute. The hand goes up. It's okay, Nana. Oh, it was hard not to laugh. They're so darn cute. Oh my, yeah. It's okay, Nana. Don't worry. Don't worry. We took Zyrtec. Oh, yeah, and usually he was really good about it this time. Usually what he does, not really thinking about it, he's a little unconscious to it, but the time before when they were here, of course, I vacuumed really well. Not that I don't, but I made sure I had all the furniture vacuumed and, just got everything as much as I could. And sometimes they forget that they need to take something before they come. So he had Benadryl when he was here, which was fine. But he sometimes makes the mistake of, because he really likes the cats, and he sometimes makes the mistake of petting the cats, which is okay. But what he forgets, and then he does, is he touches his face, especially around his eyes. And then, of course, we all know what happens then. Then the eyes get itchy, and the eyes get burny, and the eyes get red, and the eyes get swollen, and yeah. And then we have issues. And we end up putting cold compresses on his eyes and a little Benadryl and what have you. But this time he was okay. It's all right, Nana, because I took some Zyrtec. Oh my, the joys of grandchildren. I keep telling them they're not allowed. They are 9 and 10. And Abe's the oldest one, so he's 10. And Emmy is 9. And I keep telling them, and just get this through your head right now. You're not allowed to grow up and be any older. But Nana, in 6 years, I can drive a car. I said, no, you can't. No, you can't. Yeah, in 6 years, I can drive a car. No, you can't. You're not going to drive a car. But I can in 6 years. I said, yeah, but you're not supposed to grow up anymore now. Enough of this is enough. Oh, we remember when. Yeah. But these are two kids you have to keep busy. Oh, I don't know. Oh, that came through on my phone. Sorry about that. Yeah, these are two kids you have to keep busy because they are just full of energy. So it worked out very well. And then after all of that, we had dinner, and it was just a very, very nice day. So I hope all of you had a day just as enjoyable. Okay, this whole thing gets this color. Yippee skippy. I don't know, guys. Maybe you aren't going to beat me for stitches this time. But I did switch back to markup from Pattern Keeper. And they both operate very much the same. I mean, each one has their little quirks and differences. But what I really do like about markup that Pattern Keeper doesn't have is it shows you can go back and look historically at what days you stitched, how many you stitched. You can actually pick your total stitches just for one project, or your total stitches for the week. You know, if you're going to make a video where you need to, or not need to, but decide you want to share how many stitches you stitched and how many were on this project, how many were on that project, how many were, and what the grand total was, and you have all of that. So it eliminates the need to keep an extra notebook or whatever where you write all these things down. Because moi is terrible about documenting that stuff. I start out in January with the best of intentions. Yep, this is going to be the year. I am going to keep track of this every day. Well, and when I stitched Stitcher's Retreat, I did. However, since then, yeah, not so much. But markup does that all for you. And that's how I know that I should probably be done with this somewhere around mid-May if I keep stitching the amount every day that I have been stitching lately. Which is also a nice thing to know. I mean, it tells me all that stuff. You know, I can look at it per day. I can look at it per week. I can look at it over A year's time, it's all inclusive in one place. It stiff hand. It tells me, like, I haven't had this in, well, Fred has been in markup, back into Pattern Keeper, into markup, back into, I mean, I've flipped back and forth. So my number of days in here are not accurate. But it will, if you do start to finish in here of a project, it'll tell you how many days you stitched on it to get to that. It'll tell you your average number of stitches a day. It'll tell you the amount of time you stitched on it. It'll give you a tentative completion date, your number of stitches per day, how many you have left to do, your percentage. And then you can go into another page where you can see bar graphs of your number of stitches stitched, and it actually will break it down for you in, again, another like column type thing of how many stitches you can look back and say, oh, on the 2nd of April I stitched 237. Today, so far, I might make 100 till this video is over. I'm at 75. You know, it gives you the date you started the project, or the date you put the project into markup. It gives you the date you started stitching it. And then there's a place where you can even put your own notes, which is just really, really nice. I can put a picture right in where my graph is. If somebody wants to see the picture, I just have to tap one where it says pictures, and I can show them a picture right there without going out of the chart, opening it up as a PDF so that you can see the front page and all of that. So there's just little itty bitty things that I like. In all honesty, I like better. If you want to see just a page at a time, which is not something that I do, but that option is there. If you want to stitch, if you want to see the whole chart, you can also look at it that way. Now, the nice thing is he linked the individual pages to, if you have it in the chart view, which means if you're in chart view and you want to look just at that page, say you're working on page 30 and you're in the chart view. So 30 is probably somewhere in the middle of the design. I'm sorry, I keep moving out of frame here. If you switch the view and you're on page 30, it takes you to page 30. If you're on a single page and you put it in, if you're on a single page and you put it in, and you're on page 30, and you go to chart view, it keeps you on page 30. So when you switch the views, you don't have to re-find your place. They're linked. They're linked together, that you can go from one to the other and not have to find your spot all over again. So I do like that, because sometimes when you're in one view, say you're in the chart view And maybe it isn't a heaven and earth design. Maybe it's a design by Artisy or a design by Cross Stitch Collectibles, for example. Just some other designers that I can think of off the top of my head. And you have to make the chart really, really big to be able to see the symbols, which is fine. But you want to be able to see a little bit more of your area. So you flip it from chart view to the individual page. And then you can adjust the size accordingly so that you can see, say, a bigger area of what you're stitching instead of maybe, I don't know, 40 stitches square. I mean, I have an Artisy chart in, and yeah, in order to see the symbols, I have to make that chart really big. So sometimes I will find my place, get started. I'm in maybe the middle of the page. I know I'm not going to be overlapping yet. So I'll switch back to the page view and work from that for a while because I can see it better until I need to see moving on to the next page. So that's a lot of the reasons why I do like it better. Plus, it does work on iPad or an Android, which is super nice. And I can put it on my iPad and only have to carry one tablet. That is the biggest advantage. The absolute biggest advantage for me is to just have one tablet to tote around. Especially if you're going, if you're going to a retreat, say a whole weekend retreat, and you want your iPad, but then you got to carry along your Samsung tablet because Pattern Keeper's on there. This way, I have them both. I have markup on my iPad. So it's one less gadget that I have to carry with me. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to tell you how many I have. I'm going to let you guess at the end how many I did. I kind of gave it away a little bit because I told you earlier, but I'm not going to tell you my final end result. I'm going to let you guess. And then see if there are any that are high. Well, I'll tell you at the end. And then we'll see if anyone, I'm sure there are those of you that stitched more than I did. I am positive. Positively, absolutely sure. But see, this is going much faster again. I don't always like my stitches when I'm putting them in, but when I go back and look at them, okay, there's a funky one. For the most part, they're not too bad. They could be better. They're not to my usual standard. However, there's a lot on this sampler that is not to my usual standard. But you know what? I'm at the point where I just want it done. I just want to be finished. Just want to be finished. I'll try and show you the whole thing before we're finished here, because really seriously, just by doing 200 a day, it is really, you can really, really see the difference in how much has been completed. Like this whole heel now is done, and I'm just working across the bottom and have the toe here to do. So that's good. That's really good. That's really, really good. So I think for sure this one will be a finish in another month or so. And actually, I may just really push it and try and get it done before the middle of May. That is a possibility. Because like I said, it's big. It really is chunks of color. I mean, yeah, there might be 2 or 3 colors blended in together, but that area might only be 2 colors. Like this area here is 2 colors. This has 3 or 4 in that little spot, but heck, that's nothing. Here is all 1 color. And we come over this way, and then it's just 2 colors, and then 1 color, one of those 2 fade out, and the next one fades in. So really, seriously, what I have left, with the exception of this walking stick or cane or whatever it is, walking stick, is just big chunks of color. Big, big chunks. This, all 1 color. And again, it's another color fading in or fading out. So yeah, it's really, really, really not so bad. With stitching like that, I can easily do more than 200 a day. Easily. So we're going to be looking at a long-awaited finish. A long-awaited finish. So you guys keep stitching. You have 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. I'm going to try and show you most of Fred if I can. Let's see. Let's do it this. Oh, maybe I can't get. Oh, there we go. There we go. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. You can see most of him. Okay, there's the top. And there's the top. He's so darn cute. And then gradually go down to say, I think, let me see for sure. Get an idea. Unmarked. See how far over this goes yet. So this might go. Oh, phooey. Phooey, phooey, phooey. Okay, that's it. 50. 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes over to here. So here's the tip of the toe, right around this area somewhere. So this is going to come down like this and around like that. So really, that's all that I have to do. totally all that needs to be done yet. So it will come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over to here. So this will come down like this. Come down and around. And back up to there. So it's not so bad. Now, here. In case, again, I can't remember who it was, but someone had asked me about, did I grit? Well, this one was not gridded fabric. This was 20 count ungridded fabric that I used. So I did use my chalk pencil to put on my grid lines. And as you see, a lot of them have pretty much rubbed off. There is a little bit of friction pen on here. After I read the response from the company, I will not use that anymore. And I just did it very, very lightly so that you can barely see it. But I won't use it again, and I'm hoping that ironing will take it all off, and then I will wash it after it's ironed and get the rest of the chemicals out. Okay, you're down to 1 more minute to stitch. But the reason I did some gridding with Sulky Sliver is just to try it and put on the grid. The other one that I used it on did have grid lines on it, but those grid lines are so light you can hardly see them. So I did put some on there too, but to tell you the truth, I found I really don't like stitching that way. And I guess it's just because I'm not used to it. I rather have the marking right on the fabric. So I will continue with my ceramic chalk pencil. And that does wash out. For me, my experience has been it washes out rather easily. And as you can see, it is so faint. These were dark when I drew them on. There you go, guys. You made your hour. How'd you like that little hand clapping? So, now it is much later in the day than I had originally anticipated this to go. So I think we will call this a day. I will tell you, I did complete 115 stitches in this hour, and that was with not stitching 100% of the time. That has to be, circle this day in red, that has to be an all-time record. So put in the comments how many you did, or drop me a message how many stitches you stitched in this last hour, and let's see how many people did far more than I did. So with that today, my friends, we're going to call it a day, and I'm going to ask you the question of, how did you live your dash today? And what will people say? So have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video.